Have you ever felt like your words disappear into the void? You send a message thoughtful, sincere, and maybe even a little clever, but nothing happens. It's as if you're standing in an empty room whispering secrets no one cares to hear. Frustrating, isn't it? You start wondering, is it you? Is it them? Or is it simply that you don't know how to craft a message they can't ignore? Here's the truth. Communication is an art and a science, and many of us approach it wrong. We focus on saying what we want to say instead of what they need to hear. We try to grab attention with loud declarations, obvious compliments, or casual texts that barely scratch the surface. But what if I told you there's a way to make someone not only notice your messages but crave them, to anticipate every word, replay it in their minds, and feel an invisible pull toward you? The answer lies in mastering the psychology-backed messaging techniques I'm about to share. These aren't tricks or games. They're tools. Tools rooted in human nature, designed to create real intrigue, curiosity, and connection. Tools that align perfectly with the Stoic mindset, communicate with intention, focus on what you can control, and approach every interaction with authenticity. Today, I'm offering you 7 messages they simply cannot resist. Each one is a doorway, an opportunity to be seen, understood, and remembered. These messages will make you unforgettable, not because you're trying to be, but because you're tapping into the way humans think, feel, and respond. So, are you ready to transform your approach? To stop being overlooked and start being the person who lingers in their mind? Each message is a step toward that goal. Stay with me until the end, because the final message is a game changer you won't want to miss. Let's dive into the first one: the power of curiosity. 1. The curiosity dose. Have you ever wondered what makes a person think about someone non-stop? What is it that turns a simple sentence into a lingering thought they can't shake? Curiosity. It's one of the strongest psychological forces known to us. It's the spark that makes us replay conversations in our minds, overthink a single text, or feel compelled to seek answers. Imagine you send a message so intriguing that it plants itself like a seed in their thoughts. Instead of scrolling past it or giving a casual reply, they pause. They wonder. They think about you and what you said, even hours later. That's the power of a carefully crafted curiosity message, one that leaves just enough unsaid to make them crave more. Let me ask you this. Why do cliffhangers in movies keep us coming back? Why do we stay up late reading a book, desperate to know what happens next? Because an open loop has been created, and our minds demand closure. That same principle applies to messaging. When you leave someone wondering, they instinctively want to know more. Consider this message. I just saw something that made me think of you, but it's too hard to explain. Simple, right? But look at what it does. It doesn't tell them what you saw, why it reminded you of them, or what's going on in your mind. Instead, it leaves a question, a subtle mystery that invites them to fill in the blanks. Their curiosity kicks in immediately. What did they see? Why did it make them think of me? When they respond, they might ask, what was it? Or why did it remind you of me? Now you have their attention. You've created a bridge, a connection, without being pushy, obvious, or overbearing. At this point, you can either reveal something lighthearted and thoughtful. I saw this old bookshop, and it reminded me of how you love vintage things. Or you can keep the intrigue alive with, it's hard to describe over text, but maybe I'll tell you someday. Do you see what happens here? Instead of being the person chasing for their attention, you've made them lean in. They're thinking about you. They're wondering what you saw and why you thought of them. It's subtle but powerful. Here's another curiosity-driven message that works wonders. I just realized something about you today. This line carries weight because it hints at insight. It suggests you've noticed something unique about them, something worth sharing. When they reply, what did you realize? You've created an opportunity to share a thoughtful observation that makes them feel seen. You might say, I realized how good you are at finding the bright side in tough situations. I just noticed how calm and grounded you stay, even when others aren't. These responses go deeper than surface-level compliments. They acknowledge qualities that resonate with who they are. Stoicism teaches us to appreciate what's real and enduring, and this kind of message does exactly that. It builds connection through sincerity and observation. Here's something else to try. Today reminded me of that hilarious moment we shared. If you've ever had a great memory with someone, whether it's an ex, a friend, or someone new, this message triggers nostalgia. Nostalgia is another powerful emotional hook because it pulls them back to a moment of warmth, laughter, or shared connection. Even if it's been months since you spoke, this kind of message makes them smile and think of you in a positive light. If they ask what moment or what happened, you can either remind them of that specific experience or keep it playful. I'll let you guess, bet it'll make you laugh when you remember. The beauty of curiosity-based messages is that they're genuine, light, and compelling. You're not begging for attention or forcing a response. Instead, you're offering a small, irresistible mystery they want to solve. And what if you're reconnecting with someone who's pulled away? A curiosity message works because it doesn't come across as desperate or needy. Instead, it feels natural, as if you're simply sharing a thought. You're reaching out in a way that invites engagement without demanding it. Now, let me challenge you. How often do your messages create curiosity? Are you giving away too much too quickly? Are you trying to explain everything instead of letting them wonder a little? Curiosity works because it gives just enough to spark interest while leaving enough unsaid to keep them engaged. So here's a simple task for you. Think of someone you want to connect with and send one of these messages. I just saw something that made me think of you, but it's too hard to explain. I just realized something about you today. Today reminded me of that hilarious moment we had. Pay attention to their response. Notice how curiosity changes the dynamic. Remember, this isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding psychology and using it to create meaningful connections. It's about showing people that you think of them in unique and genuine ways. And when you learn to spark curiosity, you'll never feel ignored again. So, are you ready to experiment with this? Drop a comment below and let me know. Which curiosity message will you try first? Stay with me, because the next message we're diving into is even more powerful. It's the key to making someone feel like they're the only person in the world who matters. 2. The open loop message. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched a show or movie that ended with a cliffhanger so intense it stayed with you for days? You know the feeling. The screen fades to black, and you're left hanging, desperate to know what happens next. Your mind starts spinning, filling in the blanks with possibilities, replaying scenes, and analyzing every detail. Why does this happen? Because an open loop has been created. An open loop works like a mental hook. It's incomplete. It's unresolved. And our brains hate leaving things unfinished. We're wired to crave closure, to chase the missing piece of the puzzle until we find it. This is why open loop messages are so powerful. They leave just enough unsaid to make someone feel compelled to respond. Imagine this. You send a message that doesn't explain everything but teases just enough to pull them in. Suddenly, they're curious. They're invested. They can't ignore you because their mind won't let them. That's the magic of an open loop. Try this message. I just realized something about you that I never noticed before. What happens next? They can't help but ask, what did you notice? Or tell me, why? Because you've created an unresolved thought. You've planted an idea in their mind that demands an answer. And now, they're reaching out to you. The beauty of this approach is that it feels natural. You're not pushing for attention or forcing the conversation. You're simply hinting at something interesting, leaving them curious enough to pull you back in. Here's another example. There's something I've been meaning to ask you, but I'm not sure you're ready for it yet. It's playful, it's mysterious, and most importantly, it's incomplete. They'll ask, what is it? Or why wouldn't I be ready? This message works because it invites engagement without giving too much away. You're creating tension, the kind that makes them want to lean in, not look away. You can take this concept even further with something like, I heard something about you today that I didn't expect. Imagine the effect. they'll immediately wonder, what did you hear? Is it good or bad? Again, you're letting their curiosity do the work for you. By leaving the message open-ended, you're inviting them into a conversation they want to have. But here's where it gets interesting. You don't have to resolve the open loop right away. You can playfully keep the suspense alive. If they ask, what did you hear? You might respond with, it's hard to explain over text. Maybe I'll tell you when I see you. It's not something I can just say. It's something you'll want to hear in person. Now, you're not just creating curiosity, you're building anticipation. You're setting up a future conversation that they'll look forward to, keeping you on their mind long after the message ends. Another powerful version of the open loop message taps into their imagination. If I told you I knew a secret about you, what do you think it would be? This question does two things. First, it triggers curiosity. They'll want to know what you're talking about. Second, it invites them to engage with you on a deeper level. They might guess at the secret, opening up a conversation that's both playful and intriguing. Now let's take it up a notch. Try a message like this. I was just thinking about something you said the other day, and it made me see you in a completely different light. This one is subtle but incredibly effective. Why? Because it suggests a shift, a realization that you haven't fully explained yet. They'll wonder, what did I say? Or how did it change how you see me? With just a few words, you've pulled them into your thought process and made yourself unforgettable. If you're wondering whether this works for someone who's pulled away or been distant, the answer is yes. Open loops are powerful because they're not demanding. They don't pressure the other person for a response. Instead, they create an irresistible sense of intrigue, one that draws people in naturally. This works because it aligns with Stoicism. You're not chasing for attention or trying to control the outcome. You're simply offering a moment of curiosity, a doorway they can choose to step through. And more often than not, they will. So let me ask you, when was the last time you sent a message that made someone stop and think? Have you been sharing too much, too quickly, or are you leaving room for mystery? Open loop messages work because they invite the other person to participate. They create space for curiosity to grow and for connection to deepen. If you're ready to experiment, here's a simple challenge for you. Send one of these messages to someone today. I just realized something about you that I never noticed before. There's something I've been meaning to ask, but I'm not sure you're ready for it. I heard something about you today that I didn't expect. Watch how they respond. Notice how the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, you're no longer trying to get their attention. They're the ones leaning in, wanting to know more. And here's where you come in. If you're enjoying this so far and you're ready to try these open loops for yourself, hit that like button right now. I want you to comment below with the words #1 if you're finding value in these techniques. It helps me know you're following along, and it lets me create even better content for you. And hey, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, because trust me, we're just getting started. These first two messages are powerful, but what's coming next will completely change the way you communicate. Stay with me, and let's make every message you send impossible to ignore. 3. The anticipation teaser. Picture this, you're about to unwrap a gift and someone stops you. Wait, let's save this for later. How does that make you feel? Frustrated? Intrigued? Eager to know what's inside? That moment, suspended in anticipation, is powerful. It's the pull of something just out of reach, but so close you can almost feel it. That's the magic of anticipation. And when you learn to use it in your messages, you become someone they can't stop thinking about. Why does anticipation work so well? Because the human brain loves closure but thrives on the build-up. It's the waiting that makes the reward feel even better. Think of the night before a big event, the butterflies in your stomach, the excitement in the unknown. That feeling, right there, is what you're creating when you use an anticipation teaser. Let's start with something simple. You'll never guess what I'm planning, but I can't tell you yet. This one sentence does all the heavy lifting. You've hinted at something exciting, but you've held back just enough to make them want to know more. Their mind starts to fill in the blanks. What are they planning? Why can't they tell me? Does it involve me? The beauty here is in the pause. You're not rushing to explain. You're giving them a moment to wonder, to lean in, to chase after the answer. That's the power of anticipation. It's not about the reveal, it's about the space you create beforehand. Now, you might be wondering, what if they get frustrated or lose interest? Trust me, they won't. Anticipation done right isn't about playing games, it's about creating excitement for what's coming next. You're not leaving them hanging indefinitely. You're inviting them to step into the story you're building. Here's another teaser to try. I came across something today that made me think of an idea for us, but it's a surprise for later. This message works on two levels. First, you've introduced the idea of something for us, a shared moment or experience that immediately makes them feel included. Second, you've added a layer of suspense by saying it's a surprise. You're planting a seed of curiosity that will grow until you're ready to share more. Anticipation is at its best when paired with exclusivity. Try this. There's something I've been wanting to do, but it's not for just anyone. I thought of you first. What does this message say? That they're special. That you've chosen them for something meaningful, something rare. And yet, you're not telling them what it is. At least not yet. You're building intrigue while making them feel valued. Now let's shift gears a bit. What if you teased a challenge or opportunity? For example, I've got an idea that's a little out there, but I think you'd love it. Are you up for it? This approach does two things. It sparks their curiosity, what idea, and it gives them a chance to step into the excitement. Notice the wording. A little out there and are you up for it? You're hinting at something bold, something fun, and you're inviting them to rise to the occasion. Who doesn't love the thrill of a little adventure? Remember, anticipation doesn't have to be over the top. Sometimes it's the simplest hints that create the strongest pull. Imagine sending this. Remind me to tell you about the idea I had. It's worth the wait. With one short line, you've set up a future moment to look forward to. It's like giving them a tiny preview of the next chapter, but leaving the details for later. And because you've promised it's worth the wait, you're building positive expectations. Here's where it gets interesting. Anticipation isn't just about creating excitement for what's coming. It's about extending the connection. And think of it like stretching the string between you and the other person. Every time you tease something yet to come, you're adding a little more tension, a little more energy, until the moment you finally share what's on your mind. You can even add a playful twist to your teasers. Try something like this. I've been saving something to tell you, but only when the time's right. Guess you'll have to wait a bit longer. This message is fun, lighthearted, and impossible to ignore. Why? Because it creates a sense of anticipation while keeping things relaxed. You're not putting pressure on the other person, you're creating a moment they'll look forward to. And here's the key. Don't rush to resolve the suspense. If they ask, what is it? Or tell me now, you can respond with, not yet, it'll be better when the timing's right. You'll see soon enough, I promise it's worth it. By holding back just a little longer, you're keeping their attention. You're giving them a reason to stay engaged, to keep thinking about you, to wonder what's coming next. At its core, the anticipation teaser is about creating moments of excitement in your conversations. It's about making the ordinary feel extraordinary. A simple plan, a shared idea, or even a small compliment can become unforgettable when you frame it as something to look forward to. But there's something deeper at play here too. Anticipation taps into one of the most powerful principles of Stoicism, patience. It's the art of holding back, of trusting that what you have to share will be appreciated even more when the moment is right. In a world where everyone rushes to say everything at once, a little patience can set you apart. So ask yourself this: are your messages creating excitement, or are you giving away everything too quickly? Are you building anticipation, or are you rushing to the reveal? When you learn to master the art of the teaser, you'll find that people don't just respond to you, they look forward to hearing from you. They wonder what's coming next. They feel the energy you're creating, and they can't help but be drawn in. And here's the best part. Anticipation isn't about forcing someone to care. It's about making them feel like they're part of something worth waiting for. It's about creating moments that matter, moments that linger long after the conversation ends. Now think of someone you'd like to reconnect with or draw closer to. What's one small idea, plan, or thought you can hint at? Try sending one of these anticipation teasers and see what happens. You'll never guess what I'm planning, but it's a surprise for later. I've got something exciting in mind for us, but it's not time to share it yet. Remind me to tell you about the idea I had. It's going to be fun. Notice how these messages feel different. They're not needy, desperate, or over-explaining. They're confident. They're intriguing. They make the other person want to know more. And isn't that the point? To build connections that feel natural, exciting, and real? That's what anticipation does. It turns ordinary moments into opportunities for something unforgettable. Stay with me, because we're just getting started. The next message we're diving into will take everything you've learned so far and add a powerful new layer, making them feel like they're the only person who truly matters. 4. The only you effect. Have you ever met someone who made you feel like you were the only person in the room? Someone who saw you not just for who you are on the surface, but for the rare, irreplaceable qualities that set you apart. That feeling, the one that makes you feel truly special, deeply seen, is what this next message creates. It's called the only you effect. And it's one of the most powerful ways to make someone feel connected to you, because it taps into something we all crave. The feeling of being unique, not just appreciated but irreplaceable. Think about it. When was the last time someone told you that you brought something into their life that no one else could? If you've ever experienced that, you know how unforgettable it feels. This message works because it aligns perfectly with Stoicism. Focus on what is rare and real. See others for their strengths, their values, and the unique light they bring into the world. It's not about shallow flattery, it's about genuine recognition. Imagine sending this message. There's something about the way you think that's so refreshing, it's rare actually. Read that again. It's simple, but it carries weight. You're not just complimenting them, you're pointing out something specific, something that sets them apart. You're saying, I see you in a way no one else does. Now picture receiving a message like that. You'd stop, wouldn't you? You'd wonder, what is it about the way I think? Why do they see me as rare? Suddenly, they're leaning into the conversation because you've made them feel unique, seen, and valued. The secret to the only you effect is subtlety. It's about finding qualities that others might overlook and shining a light on them. Here's another example. I was thinking the other day, there's something about you that no one else quite brings out in me. This message is powerful because it's personal. It implies that your connection with them is one of a kind. It's not something they'll hear every day, and that's exactly why it lingers. When you say this, you're not just giving them a compliment, you're giving them significance. If they ask, what do you mean? You can keep it simple and heartfelt. It's hard to explain. It's like you have this way of making me see things differently. Notice how this approach feels authentic and grounded. You're not trying to impress them or say something over the top. You're sharing a truth that makes them feel uniquely important to you. Another version of this message is, I've been thinking you're probably the only person who would get this. What does this say to them? That there's something special about how they see the world, that their perspective matters to you. And when you follow it up with a story, a thought, or even a funny observation, you create a bond that feels personal and irreplaceable. Let's take it a step further. Try this. There's something about your energy that's impossible to ignore. It's rare, and I don't think you even realize it. When you say this, you're doing two things. You're noticing something subtle and powerful about them, and you're letting them know it's rare. Most people go through life unnoticed. They don't hear these things, and when someone takes the time to notice, it hits differently. It makes them feel valued in a way that lasts. Here's the beautiful part about the only you effect. It's not about manipulation or playing games. It's about truth. It's about observing someone and reflecting back to them what makes them exceptional. In Stoicism, we're taught to value what is real and enduring. These messages embody that principle. You're not offering empty words, you're offering a mirror, a way for them to see themselves as rare and valuable. You can also make this message playful. For example, I saw something today, and I realized you're probably the only person who would think this was as funny as I did. This works because it's light, relatable, and personal. You're creating an inside moment, a shared understanding that brings you closer. You're saying you get me in a way no one else does. If you want to make it even more engaging, try this. I can't help but think, there's no one else who would react to this quite like you. What does this do? It highlights their uniqueness and draws them into the conversation. They'll wonder, what do they mean? What makes me different? And when they ask, you've created an opening to connect on a deeper level. Let's pause for a moment. Why do these messages work? Because they're not about flattery or trying too hard. They're about honesty. They're about taking the moment to see someone for who they are, what makes them rare, what makes them shine, and sharing that in a way that feels real. The truth is, most people go through life unnoticed. They're surrounded by noise, by distractions, by people who don't take the time to truly see them. When you learn to notice the little things, their perspective, their energy, their ability to make you feel understood, you create a connection that's unforgettable. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you made someone feel irreplaceable? Have you told someone, this is what sets you apart? Because when you do, it changes the way they see themselves and the way they see you. Here's something I want you to try. Think of someone you admire, someone whose presence you value, and send them one of these messages. There's something about the way you think that's so refreshing. It's rare, actually. I realized the other day that you're probably the only person who'd get this. You have this energy that's impossible to ignore. It's rare, and I don't think you even see it. Notice what happens. Watch how their response changes. Because when you make someone feel uniquely seen, you create a bond that doesn't fade. You become someone they can't forget. Not because you're trying to stand out, but because you're showing them something true about themselves. If you're finding this powerful so far, I want you to do two things. First, hit that like button. It lets me know you're here and learning with me. And second, drop a comment below with number 1 if this resonates with you. And if you're not already part of this community, don't forget to subscribe. We're only halfway through these techniques, and what's coming next will elevate your messaging game even further. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll talk about how to create moments that linger, messages that play on the power of the unanswered question, and keep them thinking about you long after the conversation ends. 5. The can't miss opportunity. Let's be honest. How often do we let opportunities slip through our fingers? We're so used to things being available whenever that we stop feeling urgency, stop feeling the weight of missing out. But what happens when something feels rare, fleeting, or exclusive? Suddenly, it becomes irresistible. You can't look away. You can't let it pass you by. This is the psychology of scarcity at work. And when you bring it into your messages, you create an energy that draws people in. You make your words feel like a moment, something that's here now but might not be later. And that moment, they don't want to miss it. Imagine this message. I have this crazy idea, but it's one of those now or never things. Do you feel it? The pull of something exciting, something that demands attention. By using phrases like now or never or it won't last forever, you're introducing a sense of urgency. You're telling them, this is special, and you don't want to miss out. It's not about pressuring them. It's about giving them a chance to be part of something rare. Think about it. People value what feels exclusive. If something seems available forever, it loses its weight, its meaning. That's why the can't miss opportunity message is so effective. It makes them feel like they're being offered something unique, something they'd regret not being a part of. Here's another version of the message. There's this one thing happening soon. It's not something I'd invite just anyone to, but I thought of you. What does this say? It creates exclusivity. It tells them that they've been chosen for something special. And the best part, you're not even revealing what it is yet. You're letting their curiosity build, their imagination fill in the blanks. What's the opportunity? Why did they think of me? Those questions will keep them hooked. You can add a playful twist to this idea. Try saying, "I heard about something incredible, but it's only happening this weekend. Interested?" This works because it combines two powerful psychological triggers: urgency and opportunity. You're offering them something that's time-sensitive, something that won't be available forever. And because you framed it as an invitation, they feel like they're getting access to something valuable, something they might not hear about from anyone else. Here's where it gets even better. The can't miss opportunity message can be tailored to any situation. Whether it's a plan, an idea, or a moment of connection, the key is to make it feel rare. For example, "I just found out about this place that's only open for a short time. I think you'd love it. There's something I'd love to do with you, but it has to be soon. Trust me, it's worth it." With messages like these, you're creating a sense of spontaneity. You're making life feel exciting, unpredictable, and full of possibilities. That energy is magnetic. It makes them want to be part of the moment with you, because who doesn't love the thrill of something rare? Now, let's take this concept one step further. Sometimes, the can't miss opportunity isn't about a plan or an event. It's about you. You're the experience. You're the moment they don't want to miss. For example, "I have something to share with you that I don't think I'll tell anyone else, but only if you're up for it." What happens here? You're making your presence feel valuable. You're telling them that this is a one-time chance to hear or experience something meaningful from you. And because you framed it as exclusive, they'll feel drawn to say yes. Here's another version of this. "I've been saving this idea for just the right person. I think that's you." Do you see the power in that? You're making them feel special, like they've been chosen for something important. That feeling of being selected, of being seen as someone who gets it, is incredibly impactful. People want to feel valued. They want to feel like they're part of something unique. And with this message, you're giving them that. But there's something else at play here too. By framing your message as a can't miss opportunity, you're inviting action. You're telling them, this isn't something to think about forever. It's here now, and it won't last. You're creating momentum, a sense that life is moving forward, and they don't want to be left behind. Think about the moments in your life that you remember most vividly. They're usually the ones where you said yes to something unexpected, something spontaneous, exciting, and full of possibility. That's what you're offering with this message, a moment that stands out, a moment they won't forget. Now, let me ask you this. Are you creating opportunities in your conversations? Are you inviting people to step into moments that feel alive and meaningful? Or are you letting those chances slip away? Because here's the truth. Connection happens in the present. It happens when you give someone something real to say yes to. And when you learn to craft messages that feel like opportunities, messages that feel rare, urgent, and exciting, you'll find that people don't just respond. They show up. They lean in. They say, "Tell me more." So the next time you want to reach out to someone, think about what you can offer them, not in a transactional way, but in a way that feels special. Is there an idea you've been saving? A plan you've been thinking about? A moment you could create together? Well, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Frame it as an opportunity. Try sending one of these messages. "There's something I've been planning that I think you'd love, but it's happening soon. I just found something that feels like a now or never kind of thing. You in? I heard about this one day thing and it's too good to miss. Thought of you first." Notice how these messages feel different. They're not casual or forgettable. They carry energy, excitement, and momentum. They make the other person feel like they're being invited into something worth their time, something they'd regret missing out on. This isn't about creating pressure. It's about offering something meaningful, an experience, an idea, or a moment of connection, and letting them decide to step into it with you. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it unforgettable. And here's the best part. When you master this technique, you'll never feel ignored again. Your messages will stand out. They'll spark curiosity, excitement, and action. Because you're not just sending words, you're offering moments they can't resist. Stay with me, because what's coming next will take everything we've learned so far and add a layer of depth that most people overlook. It's about creating messages that don't just capture attention, they make someone feel seen in a way they never forget. 6. The Stoic Appreciation Message. Let's pause for a moment. In a world filled with noise where compliments are often shallow and fleeting, what does it mean to truly see someone? What happens when you slow down and offer words that aren't loud, flashy, or desperate, grounded, thoughtful, and real? This is where the Stoic Appreciation Message comes into play. It's not about telling someone they look good today or giving them empty praise. No, this message runs deeper. It's about acknowledging the qualities in someone that others overlook, their strength, their integrity, their resilience. It's about appreciating who they are at their core. Why does this matter? Because most people go through life unnoticed. They're surrounded by surface-level validation but rarely feel truly seen. Stoicism teaches us to value what is meaningful and enduring. When you reflect this in your words, you create a connection that stands out. You remind someone that they are not only visible to you, but valuable. Imagine sending this message. I've noticed how you handle tough situations. You stay calm when others would fall apart. I really admire that about you. This message isn't about flattery, it's about respect. It says, I see your strength, and I respect the way you move through the world. How often do people hear this? Rarely. And when they do, it leaves an impression. Another powerful version of this message is, you have this way of supporting people quietly, without needing recognition. That's rare, and it's something I really appreciate about you. These words hit differently because they're not about what's obvious. You're noticing the subtle things, the traits that reflect a deeper character. Think about it. Who doesn't want to feel recognized for the parts of themselves they rarely show? Here's the thing about Stoic appreciation, it's not over the top or attention-seeking. It's calm. It's steady. It's grounded in truth. When you send messages like these, you're not looking for validation in return. You're offering a gift, a quiet acknowledgement of their worth. Let me give you another example. You're the kind of person who does the right thing, even when it's hard. Not many people are like that, and I admire it. Messages like these carry weight. They don't just skim the surface, they reflect back to the other person who they truly are. You're showing them qualities they may not even realize they possess. And when you do this, you're creating a moment of connection that feels timeless. You can also frame this kind of message as an observation, something you noticed about them over time. For instance, the more I get to know you, the more I realize how thoughtful you are. It's not something everyone has, but it's something I really respect. Do you see the power in that? You're not giving a fleeting compliment. You're offering a reflection, one that makes them feel seen and understood. That's what sets you apart. Now, here's where Stoic appreciation becomes even more meaningful, when you connect it to shared values. Try something like this. Integrity is something I really value in life, and I can see it in you too. It's rare, and it's something I respect deeply. What happens here? You're not just acknowledging their traits, you're building a bridge. You're saying, we share this value and I see it in you. This kind of message creates a sense of alignment, of connection on a deeper level. Let's not forget how powerful simplicity can be. Sometimes a few words are all it takes to make someone feel truly appreciated. For example, you bring a sense of calm wherever you go. It's something I don't think many people notice, but I do. Or even, I really respect the way you stay true to yourself. That's rare. These messages work because they're honest and direct. You're not over-explaining or exaggerating. You're sharing what you see calmly and sincerely. At its core, Stoic appreciation is about giving without expecting anything in return. You're not fishing for compliments or looking for a reply. You're offering your words because they are true. And when you communicate this way, people remember you. Why? Because your words are different. They feel real. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly appreciated? Not for something you did, but for who you are. Think about how that felt. Now imagine giving that feeling to someone else. That's what these messages do. They're not about chasing attention or trying to impress. They're about creating genuine connection that lasts. Here's something to try today. Think of someone you admire. It could be a friend, a colleague, or someone you're reconnecting with. Send them one of these messages. You have a way of staying calm that's so rare. I really respect that about you. I've noticed how thoughtful you are, and it's something I really appreciate. The way you handle challenges is inspiring. It's not something everyone has. Watch what happens. Notice how these words shift the dynamic. Suddenly, the conversation feels deeper, more meaningful. Because you're not just saying something, you're acknowledging someone. And here's the best part. These messages aren't fleeting. They linger. People remember them because they're grounded in truth. They reflect the Stoic mindset, calm, intentional, and focused on what matters. If you've made it this far, you're beginning to see the power of words that carry depth. And this is only the beginning. The final message coming next is one of the most intriguing and effective ways to keep someone thinking about you. It's a small shift, but it changes everything. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to hit that like button. It lets me know you're here and learning with me. And if this is resonating, comment number 1 below so I can see who's been following along. And if you're new here, subscribe to the channel now. There's so much more to uncover, and I don't want you to miss out. Let's keep going, because the final piece of this puzzle will leave you with a message they won't be able to forget. 7. The unanswered question. Have you ever had a thought or a question linger in your mind, pulling at you like an unsolved mystery? Something someone said, maybe just a simple phrase, stuck with you, and no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't shake it. That's the power of an unanswered question. It stays with you, quietly demanding your attention, turning over and over in your mind until you find an answer. Now imagine sending a message that creates that same effect, one that doesn't just get someone's attention but captures it, holds it, and makes them think about you long after they've put their phone down. This is the magic of the unanswered question, a message so intriguing it becomes impossible to ignore. Let me show you how it works. Send a message like, "Do you think you know what I'm really thinking right now?" Simple, playful. But notice what it does, it creates immediate curiosity. They'll wonder, what are they thinking? Why did they ask me this? Am I supposed to know? You've invited them into a puzzle. The question hangs there, unanswered, and their mind begins to fill in the blanks. If they reply with, "What are you thinking?" you have 2 choices. Keep the mystery alive or reveal something thoughtful. You might say, it's hard to explain over text. Maybe I'll tell you next time I see you. Or you could surprise them with something real. "Honestly, I was just thinking about how rare it is to find someone like you." Both options work. One builds anticipation, leaving them eager for more. The other deepens the connection, giving them something unexpected and genuine to hold on to. Here's another unanswered question you can try. If I had to describe you in 3 words, what do you think they'd be? This question pulls them in on 2 levels. First, it invites them to reflect on how you see them. Second, it opens up a conversation about their own perception of themselves. They'll likely guess, "What would you say?" Or, "I don't know. What are the words?" You can keep them curious by teasing, "You're close, but not quite. I think it's something you wouldn't expect." Or, if you're ready to reveal, choose words that show you've been paying attention. Say something like, "Thoughtful, resilient, and rare. Not many people have all 3. Do you see how powerful that is? It's not just a compliment, it's an observation. You're not only creating intrigue, you're making them feel seen. Here's the beauty of the unanswered question. It's not demanding. You're not chasing them or forcing a reply. You're offering something intriguing, something that lingers. And because it's left unresolved, their mind will keep circling back to it. Try this one. "I have a question I've been meaning to ask you, but I'm not sure if now's the right time." This message is irresistible because it suggests something important is left unsaid. They'll feel the pull to ask, "What's the question? Why isn't now the right time?" You can respond with something playful. "It's one of those things that's better said in person." Or keep the mystery alive. "I'll tell you when the moment feels right." What happens next? They're left wondering. They'll replay the message, trying to figure out what you might mean. Their curiosity keeps the conversation alive even when you're silent. Another variation of this technique combines intrigue with a subtle compliment. "I was talking to someone earlier, and it made me realize something about you. Think about it. If you received this message, wouldn't you want to know more? You'd wonder, what did they realize? Why were they talking about me? It's simple, but it pulls them in. When they ask, you can say, it's something about how you always seem to see the bright side of things. I hadn't noticed that about you before. Or if you want to keep the suspense, it's hard to explain in a message. Maybe I'll tell you soon. These unanswered questions work because they invite the other person to engage. You're not handing them everything on a silver platter. You're offering a hint, a spark, something unfinished, and letting them meet you halfway. Think of it like this. In every conversation, there's a rhythm, a push and pull. The unanswered question shifts the balance. Instead of you chasing their attention, you're pulling them toward you. It's not about being mysterious for the sake of it. It's about creating space for curiosity to grow, for connection to deepen. Now let me ask you, how often do you leave space in your conversations? Are you giving people something to think about, or are you rushing to explain everything right away? Most people make the mistake of trying to fill every gap, answer every question, and leave nothing unsaid. But the truth is, the gaps are where connection happens. The silence, the curiosity, the moments that make someone lean in, that's where the magic is. Here's another way to use this technique. Send a message that hints at a shared moment or experience, but leave it unfinished. For example, something reminded me of that one time with us, still makes me laugh when I think about it. You're not saying what the moment was. You're letting them wonder. Was it something funny? Something sweet? They'll ask, what moment? And when they do, you've opened the door for a deeper conversation. Or try this. You probably don't realize this, but you've had a bigger impact on me than you know. This line carries weight. It hints at something significant but doesn't explain. It makes them pause, makes them wonder, what impact? What did I do? If they ask, you can say, it's hard to put into words, but it's something I've thought about a lot. And just like that, you've created a moment that stays with them. At its core, the unanswered question is about trust. It's about trusting that the other person will lean in, will engage, will want to know more. It's about creating space for curiosity, for connection, for something deeper to grow. So here's a challenge for you. The next time you want to reach out to someone, resist the urge to over-explain. Leave something unsaid. Plant a seed of curiosity and let it take root. Try one of these messages. Do you think you know what I'm really thinking right now? I have a question I've been meaning to ask you, but I'm not sure if now's the right time. Something reminded me of us today. I'll let you guess what it was. Watch what happens. Notice how the conversation shifts. Suddenly, you're not chasing their attention. They're giving it to you willingly. Because when you master the art of the unanswered question, you become unforgettable. You create conversations that linger, thoughts that replay, and moments they'll carry with them long after the message ends. This isn't about games. It's about understanding psychology, connection, and the power of leaving just enough unsaid. Because sometimes the questions you don't answer are the ones they'll never stop thinking about. Stay with me, because everything we've explored so far comes together here. You now have the tools to make every message you send stand out, to create curiosity, build anticipation, and leave a lasting impression. Now go try it. Experiment with these messages. Start creating moments they won't forget. We've come a long way together, exploring 7 powerful messages that can transform the way you communicate. These aren't just tricks to get attention, they're tools that help you create genuine intrigue, anticipation, and connection. They work because they align with what humans crave most: curiosity, recognition, exclusivity, and the feeling of being truly seen. Let's take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. You started with the curiosity dose, where you discovered how to spark intrigue with just a few simple words. You learned that curiosity is a force that pulls people in, makes them wonder, and keeps them engaged long after your message lands. A hint, a tease, a question left unanswered. These small sparks can create lasting impact. Then we moved into the open loop message, a technique that works like a whisper in their mind, leaving them unable to let go of what you've said. By starting a story without finishing it or hinting at something unresolved, You keep their thoughts returning to you, subtly, naturally, and powerfully. Next, you learned the art of the anticipation teaser. Here, you discovered how to make your words feel like a moment worth waiting for. By creating suspense, by holding back just enough, you build excitement for what's to come. You learn to make life feel more alive, more spontaneous, and more worth leaning into. Then came the only you effect, where you mastered the art of making someone feel unique and irreplaceable. By noticing their rare qualities and acknowledging them in a way no one else does, you set yourself apart. You became the person who sees them as they truly are, someone extraordinary. From there, you unlocked the can't-miss opportunity, learning how to infuse your messages with urgency and exclusivity. You discovered how to make your words feel like an invitation into something special, something that won't last forever, and that they don't want to miss. In the Stoic appreciation message, you explored a deeper kind of connection, the kind that comes from recognizing the quiet, meaningful qualities in someone else. You learned how to give words that are calm, steady, and sincere, words that linger because they reflect truth and respect. Finally, we arrived at the unanswered question. You saw the power of leaving something unsaid, of creating an irresistible mental pull that keeps them thinking about you. You learned how to invite curiosity and connection by offering just enough to make them wonder. Each of these messages is a tool rooted in psychology and designed to connect, inspire, and engage. When you use them with intention, you become the person whose words stand out. You become unforgettable, not because you're shouting for attention, but because you're speaking in a way that resonates. Let me ask you this. How will you use these tools? Will you send a message that sparks curiosity, leaves them hanging, or makes them feel truly seen? Will you experiment with the techniques you've learned and watch how they shift your interactions? You don't have to try them all at once. Start small. Choose one. Send a curiosity message that leaves them wondering. Share an appreciation message that makes someone pause and smile. Hint at a plan, a moment, or an idea that feels exclusive and exciting. Pay attention to what happens next. Because here's the truth. These messages work. Not because they're manipulative, but because they're human. They tap into what we all want: connection, meaning, and the feeling that we matter. They help you move through the world in a way that's intentional, thoughtful, and effective. And as you practice these techniques, remember the Stoic mindset. Focus only on what you can control. You can't force someone to respond, but you can control how you communicate. You can choose to be authentic, intriguing, and unforgettable. You can choose to connect on a deeper level. Now, as we wrap up, I want you to remember this. Communication is an art. It's about creating moments of curiosity, appreciation, and connection. The words you choose matter. When you speak with intention, when you leave space for curiosity, and when you make someone feel seen, you're creating something rare. These 7 messages are your starting point. Use them. Experiment with them. Let them help you build relationships that feel alive and meaningful. And if you found this lesson valuable, take the next step. Share it. Someone else out there might need these tools too. And if you're ready to keep growing, keep learning, and keep building connections that matter, consider subscribing. This is just the beginning. Thank you for being here, for showing up, and for investing in yourself. I hope these words stay with you, not just as tools, but as reminders of what's possible when you communicate with intention. Now go, try it. Send a message they can't resist. Leave an impression they won't forget. And most importantly, create connections that last. Here's to you, to growth, and to messages that make a difference.